on plan to defeat, destroy, disable all of their meaningful military capabilities.
The U.S. Military Command issued an urgent directive to deploy an extra 3,000 Marines to the Middle East border region. The order was immediate. Every available transport was activated. Across military bases nationwide, Marines were already assembled, standing by next to their assigned V-22 Ospreys on the flight line. Fully geared, they wore body armor, helmets, carried rifles, and had loaded backpacks. Once the command came, they boarded without delay. The Osprey ramps at the rear lowered. Marines took their seats and fastened their harnesses. Ramps closed, rotors spun, and the aircraft lifted off toward naval vessels already stationed in the region. These ships acted as transfer points where another group of Marines awaited, preparing to move onward to the Middle East. On board the ships, preparations were intense. Officers conducted swift briefings in compartments below deck, covering emergency procedures, engagement rules, and contingency plans. Briefings were concise and direct. Afterward, Marines proceeded to their stations and prepared their weapons. Magazines were pulled from ammo crates and loaded round by round. Rifles underwent function checks. Sidearms were loaded and holstered. Extra magazines were distributed and inserted into plate carrier pouches. Machine gun teams assembled their weapons, mounted them on bipods, and test-cycled the mechanisms. Activity was relentless. Every Marine on deck was either loading ammunition, inspecting equipment, or receiving final instructions. Meanwhile, one of the first Marine groups reached their drop-off zone in the Middle East. The Ospreys landed, ramps dropped, and Marines exited carrying their gear. Their mission was to set up a temporary camp that would act as a staging base for all units arriving afterward. They had to construct it from scratch. Soldiers unloaded packs and supply crates from the aircraft. Camouflage netting went up first, stretched over poles and stakes to obscure the camp's outline from aerial view. Next, overhead shelters were installed, canvas tarps rigged over metal frames to provide shade and protection from the elements. Then digging began. Teams excavated defensive positions around the perimeter, fighting holes, observation posts, vehicle revetments. Sandbags were filled and stacked. Fields of fire were cleared. Communication antennas were erected and contact established with command elements. Within hours, what had been open desert became a fully functioning forward camp with covered positions, defensive works, and a communications link to the fleet. On the ship's upper deck, Marines conducted live-fire drills. Targets were arranged on the fantail, and shooters rotated through combat marksmanship exercises. Between drills, optics were zeroed and sights adjusted to match the distances they would encounter on the ground. Firing continued in rotation, one team shooting, the next loading magazines, another cleaning weapons. Simultaneously, at military bases handling heavy logistics, operations ran non-stop. Forklifts and cargo loaders worked across the tarmac without pause. Armored vehicles were driven up the ramps of C-7 transport planes and secured to the cargo bay floors. Pallets of ammunition, crates of rifle rounds, mortar shells, grenades, and anti-tank missiles were loaded behind the vehicles. Food, water, medical supplies, spare parts, fuel blotters, and portable generators, all essential for sustaining field operations, were packed into the aircraft. The C-7s were loaded to capacity, one after another. As each aircraft completed loading, it taxied and took off for the Middle East. More planes waited on the ramp for their turn. The supply line was fully operational 24/7. Everything these Marines would need to fight was already in motion, ready upon arrival. Yes, we are going to achieve it. Every preparation, every deployment, every piece of equipment, every Marine in position, it all adds up. Nothing is left to chance. The mission is clear, the objective is certain, and the plan is fully in motion. Every unit, every aircraft, every ship, and every Marine is moving in synchronization. We are ready. The operation is underway, and nothing will stop us from accomplishing what has been set before us.